Senator's going to make a statement, and then we'll take a few questions.
Thanks to everybody who's on the line with us. Let me give you a short statement, and then I'll be glad to answer questions. The FBI supplemental report has been submitted. We received it last night. Today at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, we had a briefing from our staff. Our staff had already read the report. I have since the briefing, I went back and have been reading the report myself. The FBI reached out to 10 witnesses. 9 agreed to talk with the FBI. 5 witnesses with respect to the allegations by Dr. Ford. 4 with respect to the allegations by Ms. Ramirez. There's absolutely no corroboration of Ms. Ramirez's allegations or Dr. Ford's allegations, including but not limited to by the witnesses identified both by Ms. Ramirez and Dr. Ford. We're going to proceed to a cloture vote tomorrow at some point, which is, of course, a vote to end debate. After that, 30 hours have to run for additional debate time, and then we will vote at some point Saturday. I wish you could see the FBI report. I understand it's not going to be released. The FBI report, as it has been explained to us, belongs to the executive branch, and there has been an agreement between and among the White House, the Senate Judiciary Committee, the ranking member and our chairman, and Attorney General Sessions, that the White House will loan us the report for our eyes only. We can't take, there's one single copy of the report. We can't take it out of the room. We have to go, it's a secure facility here in the basement of the Capitol where we have to go and read it. I understand why they're doing it that way. FBI background investigations are not generally made public for reasons of privacy. I wish this one could be. There are things in there that I think would make it even clearer that, in my opinion anyway, that politics has been involved in this. The report is very thorough. Any of you who've ever read an FBI background investigation know it's kind of a cross between an endoscopy and a colonoscopy. It's very, very thorough. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Fred.
Hi, Senator. Can you hear me?
I can hear you well. Yeah, go ahead, Fred.
Oh, okay. Senator, are you confident that all of the witnesses who should have been interviewed by the FBI were interviewed by the FBI?
Yes. No one directed this investigation. The FBI made its own decisions. And I can tell you, I'll make this point. There's a problem in America with sexual harassment. It is prevalent. But I'm convinced that Judge Kavanaugh is innocent of the charges made against him. That doesn't mean that it's not an indictment of anything or anybody. You have to look at every case individually, but I can tell you that sexual harassment is a problem that we should face in this country and deal with. And I hope that my party is willing to take the lead, and I think it will, in dealing with it. But both the accuser and the accused have the right to be treated with respect and fairness and due process. And I think Dr. Ford and Judge Kavanaugh have been afforded due process, and I'm convinced that Judge Kavanaugh is innocent.
Carmen.
Hi, Senator. So after your review, was there anything in there that made you, question anything about Judge Kavanaugh, or did you sincerely walk away saying, okay, no, everything is fine?
Well, I was familiar with the 6 prior reports, and obviously I was familiar with the investigation done by the investigators for the Judiciary Committee. So this really was the 8th investigation. The FBI, again, is very, very thorough, and I think it's just even further evidence that Judge Kavanaugh is not guilty of this. He just didn't do it. And I think any fair-minded person who read the report would reach the same conclusion.
Brent?
Hey, Brent.
Senator, you've spoken earlier this week about some of your aggravation with the Democratic handling of this and what you think might be some ulterior motive in the opposition. Does the report go all into that, or do you think there's any evidence for those charges in this particular report?
The things I referred to earlier this week, and I'll repeat them, no, the report doesn't go into that. All of this could have been avoided, both for Dr. Ford and Judge Kavanaugh, had Senator Feinstein not sat on this report. I'm not impugning her motives for sitting on it. Everybody can draw their own conclusions about why she didn't turn it over until the confirmation process was completed, but the fact is she didn't, and that prevented us from having more time. It's a fact that Dr. Ford, in her letter, requested anonymity and confidentiality. Somebody, I don't know if we'll ever find out who, leaked that report, breached her confidentiality. Apparently her lawyers, her meaning Dr. Ford, her lawyers did not tell her that she had the option of meeting with the Senate investigators and testifying in the privacy of her home, that she didn't have to attend the circus that she had to attend. She was not told that, and I really regret that. I think this process long ago stopped being about a search for the truth, and it started being just smash mouth, hit you in the face politics, and I really regret that. It's sad to me that it all could have been avoided. Dr. Ford's life and the life of her family and her kids will never be the same, and Judge Kavanaugh's life and his kids' lives and his spouse's life and his reputation. It'll be a long time to recover that, and I just think that's unfortunate. I'm going to repeat what I have said earlier. I'm not saying everybody was in bad faith. I'm not saying that at all. There were some people who were in good faith in this process, but there were some people who clearly weren't. It was just about win, baby, win at any cost, and it makes me sad. I've been here 22 months now. This is the first time I've really seen the dark side of this place, and it's not pretty.
Natasha?
Senator, why do you think it's so important that the FBI report be released to the public?
Well, two reasons. I think people have a right to know. And number two, I trust the judgment of the American people to draw their own conclusions. There are some people in Washington, D.C. Who fancy themselves to be smart and cultured and cosmopolitan. These are the people that live in the fancy condos with the high ceilings and the important art on the wall, and they think they're smarter than the American people, and they know more than the American people, and that the American people need their guidance, and that's just not true. American people are entitled to know what's in these documents. I wish if it were up to me, I would turn this report over this afternoon, because I trust the American people to draw their own conclusions. But since I'm an American person, I can give you my conclusion, and it's just my opinion. In America, we're entitled to have one. I think any fair-minded person who looked at this report and looked at the 7 prior reports, I'm including the judiciary investigation, would have to conclude that other than the allegations by Ms. Ramirez and Dr. Ford, there's just no corroborating evidence whatsoever that Judge Kavanaugh did this. And in fact, there's evidence that indicates that he clearly did not. And that's why I will be voting yes.
Jeff? Greg?
Yes, Senator. Thanks for speaking with us today.
You bet, Greg.
You mentioned early on that you thought if the public could see this latest report, that it would be clear that there were politics involved. But you said that the FBI wasn't directed in any way. I'm not clear on just not very clear on what you mean by that.
Well, nobody from our side of the aisle, I can tell you, told the FBI to do this and don't do that. The agreement that the Senate Republicans made, the Senate Republican members of the Judiciary Committee, along with Senator Susan Collins and Senator Lisa Murkowski, who are not on the Judiciary Committee, we all agreed at Susan and Lisa's and Jeff Flake's request to keep the nomination process open for a week and to invite the FBI to investigate within a week's time any credible allegations referring to the allegation, or any apparently or ostensibly credible allegations. And we were referring to Ms. Ramirez and Dr. Ford, and the FBI did that. And it's very thorough, and I trust the FBI. But I do wish you could see it, and I understand why it can't be made public, but I think if well, again, it's just my opinion, but I think any fair-minded person would look at this and in a couple of cases really shake their head, but more to the point, say there's just no evidence that Judge Kavanaugh did this. In fact, there's evidence strongly suggesting that he did not. And I wish I could be more specific, but I'd have to break the law to do it.
Dominic?
Hi, Senator. The President's been criticized for his comments in Mississippi the other night. This is the first time we've talked to you since those comments. Right. You were in the room with Dr. Ford. Mm-hmm. Do you feel the same way that he does about her recollection of things and how she answered the question?
I'm not going to speak for the President. I have enough trouble paddling my own P-row. I can just tell you how I feel about it. Sexual harassment is prevalent in this country, a lot more prevalent than I realized. I think the Me Too movement has helped us a lot in terms of being aware of it and doing something about it. I don't think this is any country. Well, let me put it another way. As far as I'm concerned, this is no country for creepy old men or young men or middle-aged men. But at the same time, this is no country at all, at least not a country I want to live in without due process. Some of my Democratic colleagues have argued vociferously that you're morally tainted if you don't automatically believe the accuser. I don't agree with that. I think many accusers are telling the truth, but I believe you're morally tainted if you don't treat both the accuser and the accused with fairness and with respect and with full attention and with due process. Everybody has the right to defend himself or herself. And I think, in my opinion, we've done that or tried to do that through this entire process. But this has not been a search for the truth in all respects. I said it the other day. You know, if you think this is about seeking the truth, you ought to put down the bong. And everybody up here in this Capitol building knows that's true. They absolutely know that's true.
Last question, Blaine.
Yeah, earlier Senator Grassley said that there was no hint of misconduct in the FBI report. And then Senator Schumer and Senator Durbin publicly disagreed. So my question is, can you say that there's no hint whatsoever of misconduct on behalf of Judge Kavanaugh,
Yes.
sexual or otherwise?
Yes. And it's why I wish the report could be made available to the public. But I'm not surprised that two of my colleagues who happen to be Democrats are saying that. The Democratic strategy is to stall and restall. They are hoping to make Judge Kavanaugh quit, or they're hoping to delay this past the midterm elections, and then maybe they'll win control of the Senate. It's a political strategy. It's not going to work, but that's what's going on. If this were a search for the truth, the Democrats would have turned over Dr. Ford's letter with her name redacted in a confidential way to all members of the Senate Judiciary Committee back in July, and then we could have conducted a full investigation without embarrassing Dr. Ford or Judge Kavanaugh. But they chose not to do that. And in fact, not only did they sit on the report, but after Dr. Ford reiterated her request for anonymity and confidentiality, somebody leaked it. I don't believe it was a Republican. And then we were off to the races. And then to add insult to injury, we offered Dr. Ford the opportunity to testify to us in public or in private. We even offered to send a bipartisan group of investigators, Democrats and Republicans, to her home in California and allow her to make her statement there in the privacy of her home. And they never told her. Now, I'm disappointed in that.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.